Hi, this is Richard Patrick from Filter, and you're watching A-Sides. To see where everybody's at, Gino Leonardo, Brian Leesgang, Ben Gross, Michael Tuller. I wanted to see where those guys were at, what they could offer in terms of just songwriting and music. And then I worked with Johnny Radke at that same time period. And then I took a total left turn. I worked with Umi Capella, who was pretty much just a crazy guitar player that I met in October of last year, and then we wrote a song called Take Me to Heaven, and then I concentrated on just doing kind of a new approach with new people. So I had also Danny Lohner was someone that I worked with, and he and I actually had never, we did the Damming Well together, which was something with Wes Borland and Josh Freese. And but you know, got together with Danny at his studio in his house and just concentrated on one song, and then there was just a lot of different components, and I like keeping things revolving and keeping things changing. So there was, our drummer was brand new, Chris Reeve, and Ashley Zarigian, she's an amazing bass player. So hopefully I work with enough people until I get like 10 songs that I really, really love. And it's a different road every record. It's always a different changing road, but this record was just so much more freeing because the label was totally cool with me just doing whatever I wanted to do and letting me produce it. And so I found Umi Capella, worked with him, he co-produced a bunch of it, Danny Lohner, Michael Tuller, you know, otherwise known as Blumpy. Producing the record myself was, as I said before, I mean, I worked with other people, Umi Capella and Danny Lohner and those guys. But the reality is at the end of the day, when you're the producer, there's the artist who is really the ultimate kind of power in the whole thing, and the producer is the guy that kind of focuses it and keeps it on point. And being the producer, it was just kind of, it was a lot of responsibility, but it was so easy for me to just, you know, keep it pointed. And I think that's why people think it sounds like a Filter record. Even though it's completely done a different way, it still has all the little quirks of the Filter that we all got used to on Short Bus and stuff like that. So, sonically it's completely different, but the attitude behind it, the songwriting, you know, there's eccentricities or there's quirks that only I have, and I wanted to focus on that as opposed to making a very refined, you know, rock record or something. So once the label was on board, I just saw an easy path to completing what we had started, and I think it's, you know, this is honestly, this record has been in my car for a long time, and I enjoy it. Like, you know, there's been a few records that I've worked on where I'm like, that's done, never again, you know what I mean? But this record is something that I actually like to listen to, so. Well, music is, the song "Take Me to Heaven" is therapeutic in the sense that like everything that I get to work on or do is therapy. You know, it's all, you know, songs are just a psychiatrist's couch. You know, I just sit there and pour it all out. And I made references to my father in the song "Take a Picture," and it was not necessarily a good reference. It was kind of like, "Hey Dad, I'm in jail." Kind of, you know, from that song that's on, I can't remember what soundtrack, it's on the Repo Man soundtrack from like the 80s. But there's this great song where he's like, "Dad, I'm in jail. Guess what, Dad? I'm in jail." You know, and like, and he just keeps repeating it. So that was the kind of the reference, the homage. But you know, my father and I had a relationship that was very close, and at the same time, you know, as all parents have with their kids, I'm sure it was very frustrating for him, and watching me get in trouble, you know. But you know, when he passed away, you know, I felt you know, I felt that he had seen me. You know, he's in the final stages of his life, and he was on a ton of medicine, and he kind of looked at me and acknowledged that I was there, and then he started to drift out and move on and die. And I just remember thinking, was he grateful to see me? Was he grateful because he was going somewhere? I mean, science has taught us, you know, over and over that, like, once the brain stops, that's it. You know, there's no more electrical activity in the mind, and it ends. You know, and there's nowhere to go. And I kind of see that as truth. I see that as fact. I see science as actually science. There's no believing. It's just you know. And but at the same time, he was religious, and he made that face. He made those eyes at me. The eyes of gratitude. I just remember thinking to myself, take me with you. If there is, you know, I'll see you in the afterlife, but, you know, you want those things to be there, but you never know if they're really true. So I came home from my father's passing, and I had the music up for Take Me to Heaven with my buddy Umi, and I sat there and just wrote lyrics in probably about 5 or 10 minutes and sang it, and that was the song. And you know, yeah, it kind of, you know, it's like it wrote itself. You know? Well, Scott was a friend, you know, and it was frustrating, you know, for me, and I think I kind of made that clear. And you know, he passed away, and I think he had so much more to give, but he really just was an addict, and it's a sad, kind of disappointing way to see him go. I was hoping that he could get sobriety. As far as David Bowie, unbelievable. It's, you know, Black Star is an incredible record, and you know, he saw it coming, and he wanted to make it an artistic experience, and geez, it's just remarkable. You know, it's really incredible what he did, and obviously his music is going way back to you know, I mean, my kids, one of the first songs I played him was Rebel Rebel, you know, because I love that guitar riff. And then Glenn Frey, The Smuggler's Blues, that's about all I know from him, but I'm sorry to see that he passed away. Geez, I don't know. I think they just get into fights and they break up. I mean, it sucks. I mean, Rage Against the Machine should be putting out a record every year, you know. That's the problem with kind of being in a band, whereas Filter is kind of it's a laboratory where if you're around me and you're musically talented and it works out, you happen to be right in the, you know, the record, you can write with me, you can produce with me, and if you're not in that, then it kind of goes away for you. But you know, I think that's probably one of the main reasons, is because I've always tried to keep it my baby, and it changed. I mean, you know, the first people always talk about older band members, and I'm like, well, the oldest band member was a computer and Brian Leesgang, the producer, and that was it. You know what I mean? Like, there were some other people that were hanging around at that time, but like, I mean, that was primarily the record. That was Short Bus. So what am I supposed to do? Bring back the computer and, you know what I mean? They make all these references to the original band, and I'm like, there was no original band. It was all original hired guns, you know, that were the first people to go on tour with me. So, you know, it's basically, you know, Filter is kind of like, as long as I've got air in my lungs and as long as I'm, you know, cognitive or whatever, and, you know, alive and kicking, Filter's going to be going on for as long as I'm alive. So there you go. I mean, I was singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but Jamie. Somewhere over the rainbow, something words. Yeah, that's what's stuck in my head.
I got that beat watching this morning on the street.
Yes. Welcome to the rave. That's the other song I created in my head. I heard there was a guy with a boombox in his backpack, and it was just like, you know, like.
Oh, I've seen those guys.
Yeah, and so he was just walking and doing all this, like all these weird hand things.
Oh, like a rave thing.
And then I just in my head just was like, "Welcome to the rave," you know, like he's bringing the rave to us, you know. The tour is called Make America Hate Again, and it starts April 13th in San Francisco. He's won?
Yeah.
It's not about the bucks. It's about life, being a good person. Just try and be a decent person. Your butt's gonna be awesome. And, you know, stuff like that. The song I have is David Bowie's Black Star. In the villa of all men, in the villa of all men, stands a solitary candle. Oh,